She was used to people begging, investors begging for meetings, competitors begging for mercy, reporters begging for a quote, but nothing in Ilara Whitmore's 38 years as the iron-willed CEO of Whitmore Dynamics had prepared her for the small, trembling voice that stopped her cold outside a snow-dusted city park. The girl couldn't have been more than 5, bundled in a worn brown coat, curls peeking out from beneath a frayed hood, clutching a faded teddy bear like it was the last solid thing in her world. "I don't have mama," the child said again, eyes wide but strangely steady. "Can I spend a day with you, ma'am?" For a moment, the city noise faded, the hum of traffic, the distant sirens, the muffled footsteps on snow, replaced by a silence that pressed against Ilara's chest. Her assistant was waiting by the car, her phone buzzing with urgent messages about a board meeting in 20 minutes, a merger hanging by a thread. This was not her world. This was not her problem. That's what logic said. But logic had never sounded so hollow. Ilara crouched, heels sinking into slush, and met the girl's gaze. "What's your name?" she asked, her voice softer than she remembered it ever being. "Lena," the girl replied. No last name. No address. Just Lena. Ilara glanced around, no frantic parent, no social worker, no sign explaining how a child ended up alone in the cold asking a stranger for companionship instead of money. "Just one day," Lena added quickly, as if afraid the chance would vanish. "I can be quiet. I can help." Something fractured inside Ilara then, a memory she kept buried under years of ambition. A little girl waiting on the steps of a closed apartment building, snow melting into her shoes, counting the hours until a mother who never came back. Ilara stood abruptly, startling her assistant. "Cancel the meeting," she said. "Reschedule everything." The assistant stared. "Ma'am, the board will survive," Ilara cut in. She turned back to Lena. "One day," she said, surprising herself with the certainty in her voice. Lena's face lit up, not with wild excitement but with quiet relief, like someone who had been holding their breath for far too long. The day unfolded in ways Ilara could never have predicted. They started with hot chocolate in a cafe where the barista slipped Lena an extra marshmallow without being asked. Lena talked, not endlessly, but honestly, about the shelter where she slept, about how her mama used to sing before the sickness took her, about how days felt very long when no one said your name. Ilara listened, really listened, something she rarely did even in million-dollar negotiations. They walked through a toy store where Ilara instinctively reached for the most expensive doll, only to have Lena gently shake her head and choose a small puzzle instead. "I like making things fit," she said. At the office, where Ilara briefly stopped to retrieve documents, Lena sat in the massive leather chair behind the CEO's desk, feet dangling, and asked, "Is it lonely being the boss?" The question landed harder than any accusation Ilara had ever faced. She didn't answer right away. Later, they ate lunch overlooking the river, snowflakes drifting like confessions. Ilara bought Lena a warm coat, gloves, boots, practical things, but Lena hugged her like she'd been given the world. As the sun dipped low, the reality Ilara had been avoiding returned. One day was ending. She drove Lena back to the shelter, her chest tight, rehearsing the responsible things she would say. At the door, Lena held her hand. "Thank you for today," she whispered. "It's okay if I don't see you again." Today was enough. Enough. The word broke Ilara open. She realized success had given her everything except the courage to care. She knelt, eye level again, and said the words that had been forming all day, words that scared her more than any corporate risk. What if today didn't have to be the last? Lena's eyes searched her face, cautious hope flickering. Ilara didn't promise what she couldn't keep. She promised what she could fight for. As the shelter worker approached, Ilara stood taller than she ever had in a boardroom. That night, as headlines speculated about the CEO's mysterious absence, Ilara sat alone in her penthouse, the silence different now, full of purpose. One small voice had rewritten her definition of power. And as you reach the end of this story, remember, sometimes the smallest moments change the biggest lives. If this story touched your heart, don't let it end here. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful, emotional stories that remind us what truly matters.